Tonight, missed messaging.
I didn't see the report myself even until after the 6th.
What the FBI knew ahead of the January riot breaching the Capitol. And
I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party.
Republicans who want former President Trump to stay quiet.
Hopefully they'll get rid of her with the next election. Get rid of them all.
Already have a target on their backs ahead of the 2022 midterm elections. Plus,
I think we all should be for higher voter turnout, and I don't think that's necessarily always going to benefit the Democrats.
Democrats push an election reform bill that Republicans are calling a federal power grab.
You have to have both access and security.
All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Setting the record straight on the Capitol insurrection. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup.
And I'm Jenna Bratter. Tonight, FBI Director Christopher Wray has just finished a long day of answering questions about what did and didn't happen in the days leading up to the Capitol riot.
One focus of today's hearing, did the FBI relay information in a timely manner? CBN News national security correspondent Eric Phillips joins us now. Eric, what did we learn today?
John, Jenna, Wray insisted that his agency did properly communicate in multiple ways any and all threats to U.S. Capitol Police and others, and he said he did it in a timely fashion, including information that groups were, quote, preparing for war.
I ended up getting pinned there by the crowd. There's a guy ripping my mask off, and he was able to rip away my baton and beat me with it, and he was practically foaming at the mouth.
The Senate hearing began with this compelling compilation video of images from the day in question. FBI Director Chris Wray then focused on the major issue.
The problem of domestic terrorism has been metastasizing across the country for a long time now, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Many senators asked why information from the FBI Norfolk field office pointing to plans for the attack and specific congressional threats didn't rise to the level of a threat assessment or get passed along before January 6th. Wray testified it was sent 3 different ways, including electronically and in person.
And my understanding was that information was quickly, as in within an hour, disseminated and communicated with our partners, including the U.S. Capitol Police.
Wray went on to describe the nearly 300 arrested so far for the Capitol violence and their motivation.
Militia violent extremism, some instances of racially motivated violent extremism, specifically advocating for the superiority of the white race.
Though this hearing focused on that single event, some say looking at it in a vacuum is a mistake, especially considering weeks of demonstrations last year involving Antifa.
One of the most upsetting aspects of the violence this summer has been the targeting of innocent law enforcement officers, just like innocent law enforcement officers were targeted during January 6th.
Vandalizing a federal courthouse in Portland is a crime. It should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, but it is not equivalent to a violent attempt to overturn the results of elections, nor is it equivalent to mass shootings targeting minority communities.
Wray testified that there is no evidence that Antifa or, quote, fake Trump supporters were behind the January 6th riot at the Capitol. And he also says the FBI right now is working about 2,000 domestic terrorism cases. He says that is double the number the agency reported just 4 years ago. John and Jenna.
All right, Eric Phillips, thank you very much. Well, overseas tonight, the Biden administration is announcing new sanctions against Russia over the poisoning and arrest of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. This in the wake of a U.S. intelligence assessment's conclusion that Navalny was poisoned last year with a banned nerve agent and that Russian security forces carried out that poisoning. Russian government officials imprisoned Navalny in January when the opposition leader returned to Russia after receiving treatment for the poisoning in Germany.
Growing calls for Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign tonight. Congresswoman Kathleen Rice, now the highest-profile New York Democrat, demanding he step down after a third woman came forward with allegations of sexual harassment. CNN anchor Chris Cuomo, the governor's brother, addressed the controversy Monday night during his show.
Obviously, I'm aware of what's going on with my brother. And obviously, I cannot cover it because he is my brother. Now, of course, CNN has to cover it.
The two made headlines last year at the onset of the pandemic with their primetime banter.
As President Trump re-enters the political conversation, it's clear he wants a leading role in the GOP moving forward. A few party voices, though, want him staying quiet. CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson shows us how that could impact the GOP's strategy to win back the House and Senate in 2022.
The 2022 midterms are just around the corner, and Republicans hope to add to their gains in the last election. Trump vows to help that effort, although it's not just Democrats he wants to beat.
A person that loves seeing our troops fighting, Liz Cheney. How about that?
Speaking at the Conservative Political Action Conference, Trump not only went after the third-ranking House Republican, but he also named each GOP lawmaker who voted for his impeachment.
So hopefully they'll get rid of her with the next election. Get rid of them all.
Cheney prefers the former president stick to running his business or golfing.
I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, however, credits Trump's campaign support for the GOP's 2020 success.
This is the first time since 1994 no incumbent Republican lost. We beat 15 Democrats. And you know who the 15 Democrats lost to? Conservative women and conservative minorities, each and every one of them.
Now leaders feel they can regain House control in 2022 and see candidate recruitment as a key strategy.
Do you want to retire Nancy Pelosi? Hell yeah. Do you want to end the socialism in this country? Win the House, 5 seats.
The former president still casts a big shadow, as seen in the CPAC straw poll. 95% of the attendees support seeing Trump's policies carried on by the GOP.
Donald J. Trump ain't going anywhere.
Leader of the conservative movement, the leader of the American First movement, the leader of the Republican Party.
Senator Bill Cassidy, who voted to convict Trump, says Republicans should not put Trump on a pedestal.
If we plan to win in 2022 and 2024, we have to listen to the voters. Not just those who really like President Trump, but also those who perhaps are less sure.
And Trump's impact is already being felt as he's endorsing primary candidates to take on the incumbents who voted in favor of his impeachment. Reporting from Virginia, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Now for more is Indiana Republican Senator Mike Braun. Senator Braun, welcome back to Faith Nation.
Hey, good to be back on.
Well, let's just start with the with the thing on everyone's mind. What does the GOP need to do to win back the control of the Senate in 2022?
So I think the best way to look at that is look at what things were like pre-COVID. There were so many policies that were working. The economy, which is the #1 issue, unless it's not working then it even becomes the significant issue like it is now, how to get it back. So there were so many good things in place. And we've got to give that message of how that was resonating across the country for small business owners, for people like me that believe in faith, family, community, which so often gets kind of hard to rise in the level of discussion. It was working. We also have to be somewhat self-critical. What do we need to do to improve? We've got to bring more young people, more minorities into the party, turn them into conservatives out of the gate. Otherwise, we're going to have a numbers issue, and I think that's reflected in places like maybe New Mexico and Colorado years ago.
You know, at his speech this past Sunday, President Trump didn't rule out another run in 2024. Senator Braun, your thoughts on the possibility of Trump being the GOP nominee in the next presidential election? And does it do just the opposite of what you're saying? Does it choke off the potential to grow the party?
I hope President Trump stays in the loop. I hope he also looks at how we improve on some of the stuff to articulate the message better so that it's not so close in these national elections, how we turn the tide of what we've seen in Arizona and Georgia. And I think that's clear by what you saw at CPAC, that he's got to be part of it. And it needs to be one Republican Party. The opposition would love to see nothing more than to split us.
The CDC is warning Americans right now not to drop their guard in the fight against the coronavirus. And this, of course, all happening against the backdrop of the Senate now debating the nearly $2 trillion relief bill. Senator Braun, polls consistently show wide support among Americans for it, even among some Republican voters. First of all, why the split? And then secondly, do you think any of your Republican colleagues will actually vote for it?
This bill, sadly, is going to be rammed through. The minimum wage component, I'm for raising wages. I've been a proponent of that through the old-fashioned way of competing for labor, and it's an obligation of business owners. Small businesses really put an emphasis on that. But when you try to do a one-size-fits-all, you try to substitute more federal government into the equation, be wary of it. And most of it is going to get rammed through, probably with not one Republican vote. The real question is, are there any conservative Democrats, let's not use that word, moderate, left, they can stop the process. Sadly, we're mostly along for the ride.
Senator Mike Braun of Indiana, thanks so much again for being on Faith Nation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Coming up, why Republicans are calling a Democrat push for federal election reform a power grab.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back. The Supreme Court, in a 2-hour hearing today, considered whether Arizona's voting laws discriminate against minorities. Meanwhile, Washington Democrats are advancing an election reform bill through Congress.
That's right. The For the People Act mandates early voting and outlaws voter ID requirements. Today, on the House floor, a Texas Republican summed it up pretty well how his party is feeling in the opposition, saying the bill makes it easy to manipulate elections and difficult to detect fraud.
This bill makes elections less trustworthy, not more. And trust is everything. When people can see the faults in the process, whether it's ballots at the wrong house or careless verification processes, they believe people are cheating. You can't just dismiss that. We have to fix it.
Though every House Democrat has signed on to the bill, Republicans say it's also known as H.R. 1. It is a power grab and federal overreach.
But you can't ever accept when they steal and rig and rob.
After the turbulent 2020 election, followed by the deadly assault on the Capitol, many agree election reform is needed. Unfortunately, what that looks like depends on the side doing the talking. For Democrats, it comes in the form of H.R. 1, which they call the For the People Act. This legislation aims to basically create a nationalized voting system requiring uniform rules for all states. It would, for example, mandate early voting, then same-day registration, outlaw voter ID requirements, and allow ballot harvesting.
The Democrats have been campaigning on two key provisions.
California Congressman Ro Khanna sees it as common sense reform.
One, that every person should have an equal right to vote, and that the voting rights really matter, and especially after the passage passing of John Lewis. Many Americans believe that we shouldn't have lobbyists and big donors and big money influencing our politics, and this would really try to get rid of a lot of the influence of big money.
Conservatives counter that the For the People Act only benefits progressives and liberals by helping them keep control in Washington.
It is full of federal mandates and prohibitions that would, in essence, weaken all of the security protocols in the election process and, frankly, make it easy to cheat, easy to manipulate election results, and very difficult for states to detect or deter election fraud.
Hans von Spakovsky with the Heritage Foundation was once a commissioner on the Federal Election Commission, which enforces federal laws on federal campaigns.
They're claiming it's all about access to the ballot box, but what they forget to tell folks is that you have to have both access and security. And there's no reason, for example, to do what H.R. 1 does, which is to make it illegal for any state to have a voter ID requirement.
Khanna disagrees that getting rid of the ID requirement would open the door for fraud.
I don't think so. I mean, the studies have not shown that voter fraud is rampant. I mean, I know that this is a big dispute. A lot of the voters who are not voting in some of these states are conservative voters, which is why you saw the Trump team putting such an effort on increasing voter turnout. So I think we all should be for higher voter turnout, and I don't think that's necessarily always going to benefit the Democrats.
The legislation, first introduced 2 years ago, would also require political groups to disclose high-dollar donors, create reporting requirements for online political ads, and in a nod to Trump, obligate presidents to disclose their tax returns. And with Democrats holding the majority in the House, Senate, and White House, this could be their time.
And joining us now, Penny Nance, president of Concerned Women for America. Penny, welcome back to Faith Nation. Penny, do you agree with Republicans who call H.R. 1, the For the People Act, a federal power grab?
100%. Hello, Jenna and John. It's great to be with you. Concerned Women for America has very strongly opposed this legislation. I think you heard a lot about it in the package. The truth is, it is a power grab by progressive left, and it's also an opportunity to silence and to cancel conservatives who want to give to organizations like Concerned Women for America or Students for Life or Susan B. Anthony List or any others that they disagree with, because often these people are business owners and the cancel culture is thriving and it's insidious. And this opens up these conservative business owners to the full wrath of the left. We are very much against it. And, you know, they also mentioned other things, like we strongly believe that we need to show identification. It is an important, everyone has an ID. We need it for everything in life almost. And we can make accommodations for people that simply don't have it, but it is very sensible. So Concerned Women for America has on our website a state-by-state analysis of what the states are doing and what they need to do on voter fraud and on that issue. So come to concernedwomen.org and learn more.
Penny, you mentioned cancel culture. Today is Read Across America Day. Everybody talking about Dr. Seuss's birthday, the day normally held today, Read Across America. Because of his contribution to children's literature, President Joe Biden did not mention Dr. Seuss in the annual proclamation from the White House, breaking with past tradition and presidents who paid tribute to the author. Penny, your thoughts on all of this story that everybody seems to be talking about?
Well, so much. Children's literacy is down. Children, small children, actually children at every level, are suffering in education because of the lockdowns, because of school closing. So we have some serious problems, and we need our children to read. And the very idea that we are canceling Dr. Seuss is absolutely outrageous. He was way ahead of his time in advocating against anti-Semitism, advocating really for life. Horton Hears a Who has that iconic scene where Horton has this little speck with voices he hears, and he says, should I drop it? And I certainly can't quote the book, but he concludes that a person's a person no matter how small. Mm-hmm. And so that was Dr. Seuss was way ahead of his time on that.
We are out of time, unfortunately. Penny Nance with Concerned Women for America, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Penny.
And we'll be back.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Well, welcome back. Imagine this, having a loved one abducted just because of their faith.
Now, that's the reality for Susanna Coe, who has lived for years now after her husband Raymond disappeared. Jennifer Wishon has more.
Gone without a trace. Malaysian pastor Raymond Coe was abducted in 2017, but he's not forgotten. And for more on this troubling case, we're joined by Dr. James Carr, who is a commissioner on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Dr. Carr, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jennifer. Glad to be with you.
So since 2017, when Raymond Coe disappeared, has anyone heard from him? Do we know anything about his whereabouts?
As you say, he disappeared 4 years ago and nobody's heard anything. And it's just, I've been on the commission now for a year, and I'm amazed at how a country like Malaysia is so insecure that they feel threatened by this 67-year-old Protestant pastor. It's just incredible to me.
What are the circumstances surrounding his abduction? How did this happen?
There were 15 men. Now, remember, this is a 67-year-old minister, 15 men out of 3 big black SUVs. It looked like it was planned very well, and we feel confident at the commission that it was a government operation.
During a hearing that USERF held, we heard from Pastor Raymond's wife, Susanna, and I want to play some of that.
Pastor Raymond is a simple and kind man. He has a passion for the lost, especially the unreached peoples of Malaysia.
And Dr. Carr, I know that you have met with Susanna. How is she? And does she live in fear that she may be abducted too?
She won an award that we give to courageous women. The State Department gives each year to a few courageous women around the world. And in 2020, she was a recipient of that award. She loves her husband. She's involved in his ministry too. And I think without all the publicity she's gotten in the last several years, she would feel threatened too.
So she's continuing his work in the ministries he was involved in.
That, as far as I know, she is, yes.
Does Susanna hold out hope that her husband is alive?
I think she does. I must admit, she was asked, what happens to people who have been taken like this? What's happened in the past? And she indicated that seldom are they ever heard from again.
Dr. James Carr, thank you for sharing his story with us.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution that will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Well, finally tonight, from the co-creator of VeggieTales and the voice of Larry the Cucumber comes a new series, Jenna, with no veggies, but a couple of tails.
Yeah, it looks pretty cute. The series, called The Dead Sea Squirrels, follows first-century squirrels preserved in sea salt as they take modern-day kids on character-building adventures.
Dead sea squirrels took a vacation. Dead sea squirrels suffered salination. Dead sea squirrels dehydrated, do it. We're not dead yet.
After launching a Kickstarter campaign this year, Mike Nowacki has already secured potential investors to fund the whole project. Nowacki says his prayer is that the stories will help kids make a connection to the Bible and life of Jesus.
Jenna, I suspect that one's going to do just as well as VeggieTales.
I think so. Have a great night, everybody.
See you tomorrow.